la, very la, very la, very la. Have I got an exciting video for you today?
What's good, and welcome to the video. If the intro didn't give it away, I sat down with DaneHearth, a very long time Hearthstone content creator. Dane specializes in the Wild Ladder and is one of the few people in the entire scene making content for Hearthstone's legacy format. This video was originally planned as an interview for Esports News UK, however, I felt that my questions didn't align with the type of content ESN UK normally put out. Me and Dane ended up discussing the game, its past, its present, and its future, not really Hearthstone as an esport. However, I didn't just want to let this all go to waste. So, here's the interview. Some parts have, of course, been edited for your viewing experience. Enjoy, and don't forget to leave a like on the video. See ya.
Yeah, sure. My name's Dane. I stream on Twitch and upload some highlight videos to YouTube under the name DaneHearth. I started playing Hearthstone just after the beta, so I didn't quite get into the beta of it. As a basically casual during like work hours and after work. Eventually transitioned into more of a hobby. And then eventually transitioned into Wild because I enjoyed playing older style decks and didn't really enjoy the standard rotation of cards. So that's basically how I continued into playing into the legacy format.
But I wonder, did you play any other games before Hearthstone, any other card games, and particularly any of the non-rotational legacy formats?
So no, the only exposure to cards I had were actually just through collecting and not playing. So either like Pokemon or old kind of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Before that, I mainly played MOBAs, so the likes of hearthstone and Dota. So Hearthstone was the first kind of card game I actually played. I think it was recommended to me by a friend, and we used to play together in work and whatnot. But before that, no exposure to cards other than being a kid and collecting them, essentially.
Fair enough. I think it's something that a lot of players that I know came from things with like years of experience. For example, they're playing Magic for half a decade. They've been playing, like I myself have played Magic for a while now, and even like stuff like the Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh TCGs that are popular. But hey, I mean, around for so long, so definitely, yeah, the interest, the passion is stuck. And speaking of so long, I think now is it 26 sets with the release of Castle Nathria. So
Yeah.
which one's been your favorite? Obviously, we'll keep it to the Wild format. That's definitely more your style. Which one is your favorite set in terms of cards from it, the meta, and how it functions now, and which is your least favorite set?
I think so. It was a mini set, and it was Leave Explorers would be my favorite time to actually play Hearthstone, which was that was when obviously like it was predating Wild. So it was a lot of kind of Control Warrior I used to play, and it would be like the likes of using Elise and cards like that. That was probably the best memory I have of playing it. And even before then, I think that's when I just started to attempt to stream the game. As for worst set, it's probably one of the most recent ones. United and Stormwind, I didn't really like the comeback of quests because they're a bit too linear in play, and some of the quest rewards were a bit too powerful given the initial release. I know some of them have been scaled back now, but I think United and Stormwind were probably the worst one for me.
Oh, do you remember the caverns below, the road quest?
I do.
All the way back. Just you would. I don't know what minion was it that they used to use, but I think even just anyone, just 5/5 for the rest of the game on turn 4 was.
It was the elemental.
Firefly, was it?
Firefly, yeah, that was the one that used to go just to generate more cards. Because there was another card that generated fireflies on a death rattle, which they used to use as well. I forget the name of that card, but now it's all it's still played now actually. So even goes to show like quests so powerful. Even the first iteration from was it Ungoro? I think it was.
Yeah, Ungoro was quests. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so it's used now, but it's used with pirates. I think pirates and a lot of charge cards essentially.
Standard operates in a 2-year cycle, right? So the third expansion of the year is normally filled with really powerful cards to shake up the meta, because then in a year or two away, they'll go away basically. They'll have the least amount of time in Standard. But as a wild player, like, what are your thoughts on Blizzard essentially just printing broken cards in the third set of every year?
Yeah, I mean it's required because obviously they have a vision for Standard, so it's obvious that with standard rotations that there's going to be like a standout card for a particular class within each set. I mean, over time, eventually, I think they will need to create some sort of ban list um, for Wild only, just to prevent some of these non-interactive games becoming too quick. Because currently, like at the minute, combo is sort of the best deck style in Wild, and it's because a lot of the cards that are printed in the past, combos would require maybe a large amount of cards to be in hand, like 4 or 5. Now you can essentially kickstart a combo with 2 or 3 cards. So I think for the future of Wild and the sake of Wild, I think a ban list would eventually be needed to be implemented, I think.
I would like to get your opinion on what you think the strongest deck ever in Hearthstone is. My first guess would be the Aviana Druid deck, when Aviana was 9 mana, and obviously you could just refresh with Kuhn the Forgotten King and then play Malagos, play anything, and then just blow up your opponent. But if it's not that one, what is? And then maybe some of the others that are slightly like down below in the second or third spot. I'd love to hear your take on this.
Yeah, I think so. This would be like limited to the time they were released, as opposed to would they still be the best now. So I think Snip Snap Rogue, sorry, Snip Snap Warlock would probably take the number 1 spot. And this was when Snip Snap was first released. It was an Echo card. And since then, they've changed it so Echo cards can't be dropped down to 0. So what would happen was your Warlock opponent would reduce the Snip Snap card down to 0 mana, and it could constantly be played on 1 turn. And if your opponent had a mech that lived at any point during the game, you would instantly lose. Yeah, and that one was well, the community actually saw that one coming when the card was announced, but it took them about, I think it was about a month to enact an actual change to the Echo mechanic. I think that's number 1. In my opinion, I think second or close second would be Dark Lair Warlock. So Dark Lair being a card that when you took damage, you would refresh 2 mana.
Yeah,
so this was
that,
the initial iteration. As for a third, I think possibly like current combo druid might be up there. As one of the most powerful decks, which is using Floop's Gloop, which is a card that when a minion dies, you refresh 1 mana. So this is obviously the main catalyst for this deck is Celestial Alignment, which is probably one of the most powerful cards printed, which is currently, it's been nerfed already. It's 8 mana, and it sets all cards to 1 mana. So I think in order of that, in my opinion, they would be like the top 3 or close to the top, I think.
Did Celestial Alignment used to be 4 mana, all minions 0, discard your hand? Is that the same card?
Oh no, that was Astral Communion. Celestial Alignment prior was 7 mana, and all cards cost 1 mana for you and your opponent. So it's like a mirror effect. But the reason it's so powerful is most decks aren't built to take advantage of having 1 mana cards, whereas Druid, the next turn would immediately kill you.
Yeah, my question is, what has kept you invested in the actual card game itself? Just so many others have moved on to other games. They've gone back to playing games that they played before Hearthstone. They've moved on to Battlegrounds, Mercenaries, Arena only, etc. But like, what's kept you interested in the pre-constructed sort of formats of the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably due to the mode, like with Wild. I can understand all the standard play, like if you're a standard player, if you don't like the direction that particular rotation has gone in, or you're not enjoying the meta in standard, you kind of tied into that for 2 years. Whereas Wild, for me, doesn't really change that much, because typically if a deck is powerful, it's going to remain powerful. You might have like a a slight advantage or disadvantage depending on what expansion's been released. So classes and archetypes usually just rotate in Wild. But I think the fun with Wild is just trying to kind of not break the game, but seeing what broken combos you can do. And there's always something new there with an expansion. With a new card being released, you might be able to break a different archetype. So I think just the nature of a legacy card game has kept me invested in the constructed aspect. But I think I don't know, but I think for standard, couldn't say for definite, but like I say, if someone doesn't enjoy the direction the game's going in, they probably don't want to be tied in 2 years to playing that kind of rotation of standard. So they might move on to a different mode or a different game. But yeah, for me, it's Wild. It doesn't change too much, and it's always fun to try beat the best deck or make the best deck during a new expansion.
Almost a perfect segue actually to another question, which is with the new expansion obviously releasing. I think you said August 2nd before. With the record button, Murder at Castle Nathria. Are there any cards that you've got your eye on that you think will bring back some particularly old decks? As I said, I saw on your YouTube, I think maybe it was last week or 2 weeks ago, the Aviana Seal deck being brought back by an 8-mana rare from Murder at Castle Nathria. I forget its name, but that one that allows you to discover a creature and summon it, or something like that. Any cards or any archetypes, most importantly, that you think could make a resurgence with one or two key pieces from the new expansion?
Yeah, I think Secret Mage. So whenever there's a new legendary or support card in Wild for an archetype, it'll come back. Being good or not, people like to test it and play it out. I think Secret Mage got an interesting legendary. That's kind of like a win more card. So that I think will bring back the Secret Mage archetype. Maybe in like lower ranks. I'm not too sure about the top Wild players would play that. Tome of Tampering, which is a new Warlock card. 3 mana. What it does is you discard your hand and you shuffle all the copies of the hand you have back into the deck for 1 mana. So in Wild, there's a way to shuffle them in and redraw the hand immediately. I think this one has potential. Anything that cheats large amounts of mana in Wild is going to be kind of like a staple. So I'm hoping like this brings back some sort of like maybe not control warlock, but like a warlock that cheats out demons, or a warlock that cheats out like a large board very early on in the game. So Tome of Tampering is one I've got my eye on. Usually warlock breaks Wild through like mana cheat, or usually it is mana cheat actually. Usually warlock breaks Wild in some way. They did it a couple of expansions ago with the Demon Seed quest, which was sort of beating a lot of decks on turn 4 or 5. Sorry, 5 or 6. Yeah, so Warlock's always one to look out for. So it'd be interesting to see Tome of Tampering actually within a live environment with everyone playing it. Because obviously, when the whole community gets their hands on the card, it's usually like 1, 2, 3 days before the perfect list is found, essentially.
Yeah. Where do you see Hearthstone going over the next 5 years as we sort of slowly creep in on the 10-year anniversary? Is there anything you would like to nerf, buff, remove? Let's say 1 nerf, 1 buff, 1 remove to the Wild format for its legacy and its health. What would you do?
Yeah, I think construction will just chug along. That's Hearthstone's main appeal is new expansions and just the influx of cards. As for like what they'll do with the client, it's always like a bit of a surprise that when they add a new game mode, I think they've added duels, mercenaries, battlegrounds, all in that one client, which always surprises me that it's within the Hearthstone game itself. So I don't know. Maybe in the future they might add an additional mode. So it's always hard to predict what they're going to do with the actual client itself. But as for a ban, a nerf, and a buff, I think for the overall health of the game, I would like to see a handful of cards banned in the future because they'll become more problematic for the actual WoW format. As of now, I would say maybe ban
Barnes.
Celestial Alignment. I think.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Card seems a bit wacky.
As for a nerf, I think nerf Scabs, which is a rogue card that reduces cards by two cards by 3 mana. I can see that one becoming more of a problem in the future. I would actually bring that down to 2 mana if I was going to nerf a card. And then a buff. I like to see Aviana buffed actually. Now you mention it. If I was banning Celestial Alignment, I would rebuff Aviana for combo druids to still exist.
And where can the people watching this video find you? What's your stream schedule, socials, etc.?
Yeah, sure. I mean, with any expansion, it's always my main goal really is just to test every class and play what the key mechanic is for that expansion. Give it a full test out, good or bad. It's always entertaining to see what you can do with the newer cards. I'm on Twitch at DaneHearth. I'm on YouTube at DaneHearth as well, if you give that a search. And as for a schedule, usually I stream around UK time, around 12 in the afternoon, for an undisclosed amount of time. It depends how much I'm enjoying the game on that day. But yeah, thanks for having me on, Jace.
Of course, absolute pleasure. Best of luck with the murder at Castle Nathria shenanigans. I'm sure I'll see something on my Twitter feed of you breaking the game at some point on a Twitch clip. But yeah, thank you so much for appearing on this interview, Dane, and best of luck in the future with all your content.
Thanks very much.
Okay, I've done this way too many times because I keep butchering it. There we go. That's the video. This is the outro. I'm going to leave links to all of Dane's content in the YouTube description below for the video. Make sure to leave a like as well. And I do quickly want to apologise for how I came across in the last 10 to 15 minutes of the overall interview in itself. I was a little bit sick at the time, and honestly, I was just quite exhausted from everything I'd been doing over the past week. So I come across as flat and uninterested when that was not the case at all. But big shout out to Dane too, was so sound, so lovely, so down to earth, and just a great interviewee. I had so much fun and nostalgia talking to him about hearthstones, past and present, and yeah, optimistic about the future as well. You can tell that he has a passion for the game, and that shines through in the content that he does. That's going to be it for me. I will probably see you guys around about, honestly, October, because Overwatch 2 is going to release, and I'll be making some entry-level educational content for that. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and take care. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.